Hello Cancer, thank you for joining me for your monthly forecast for May. The standout influence for you this month, I feel, occurs on the 20th, when Venus, the planet of love, enters your zodiac sign. Venus will be working its way for the first 3 weeks of this month through a much more sensitive location, one where you'll want to embrace the more sentimental side of love. If you're in a relationship, really appreciate cocooning yourself away with your partner, at least some of the time, having real private moments and getting more and more in tune with one another. It's also possible, if you're single, that you could think much more about someone from your past, and it could make you quite reflective, melancholy, or even quite yearning for an old flame in the first 3 weeks. But it's also a time when the sun is occupying Taurus, which is very good for friendships and sociability. So I think the inference between the two different planetary interactions is Venus sees you wanting sincere interaction and friendships. So it's the people you feel most comfortable with. Now Mercury, the planet of communication, has been tracking backwards forwards in your sector of how you interact with the world at large, and that's been going on for near to 10 weeks by the time it moves into Taurus on the 14th of this month, and moves into a much more upbeat and much more vibrant location. But from the 4th of this month, you will start to make sense of some of all the thinking you've been doing about jobs, about where you live, about property. Maybe for some Cancer people it will even be property renovation or redecoration. It depends. The 10th house and the 4th house can be quite similar in some ways, but Mercury here could even see you thinking of working from home as much as anything else. But that starts to go forwards from the 4th, and that's really welcome too. But then on the 14th, Mercury moves into Taurus, but then perhaps the most exciting moment of the whole month comes on the back of Uranus's move on the 16th into the sign of Taurus too. But there is a new moon on the 15th, and new moons are very important to you because they are, obviously, the moon is your ruler of your sign. So you tend to be very attuned to the patterns of the moon. But this new moon forges a brilliant semi-sextile to Venus. And whatever you're doing, especially if it's around friendships, networking, helping other people, being a humanitarian, that can come back to your favour in terms of someone can be very acknowledging of a kindness you invest from the 15th for a month. So even if you're someone who tends to be very big-hearted but in a discreet way, that's giving out an energy to the world that's going to come back to you fabulously well. However, on the 16th, this is blockbuster stuff, because Uranus, the planet of surprises, which has been shaking up your role in life since 2011, part-time for 5.5 months, 2010, sorry, for 5.5 months, and since 2011 full-time. That moves into your sector of ideals, of friendships, of the need for space, of the need for a greater freedom in the way you exist as a human being, yet at the same time staying very connected to others, but helping you to evolve your identity. So friendships are definitely going to be important for the middle of this month, and right through to early November, when Uranus then reverses back into the sign of Aries. But I do feel that your whole outlook can be transformed over the next few years, and particularly from March of 2019, when you start to see the world in a much bigger, wider, and more global way, and see your role in it and how you interact with others in that way in a much more insightful manner too. Because relationships this year have definitely been at the heart of the transformations in your situation. There was such a chunk of energy in the cardinal sign of Capricorn at the turn of the year. Of course, that was repeated in April in a very, very powerful circumstances with some big planetary aspects going on. And Saturn, the planet of structure but also restriction, remains in your sector of relationships, but so does Pluto, the planet of change. So big structural changes are possible, and some of these will be very happy. And I think Uranus moving into this very idealistic sector suggests that if you have met someone this year and it's going well, get out and play with others to some degree. Don't cocoon yourselves away too much And yet I do feel there will be a tendency to do that for some of the first 3 weeks of this month. Once Venus relocates into your sign on the 20th, it's almost like going to be a line in the sand, a real sense of renewal, a real sense of feeling more desirable, more adorable, more attractive, greater self-confidence. You may give your wardrobe a bit of a makeover, have a new haircut. If you're single, don't be surprised at the type of different kind of characters that are going to be buzzing around you over the next 6 months. It's that exciting. It's great stuff. Now, Chiron, the planet of health and healing, the wounded healer, that moved last month, mid-month, on the 17th of April. And that's going to also now be impacting how you view your career. If you can work in a job which helps other people, you can provide leadership skills to people in whatever healing or caring profession, that could work very well for you. You can also heal within yourself any doubts or insecurities you have about who you are, your identity, and how you fit into the wider world. Brilliant stuff. So what are the challenges this month? Well, there always are some in astrology, aren't there? And part of it comes from the role of Mars this month, which for the first half of this month continues to go through your sector of relating. Now, Mars is about instant gratification. We want it now. We're not really prepared to wait. We can be in a bit of a hurry. We can be impatient. And around a professional relationship or a relationship with someone who's older or younger than you, from the 7th through to the 16th, there is the potential for a clash that can come from impatience or someone wanting to hold all the influence in a relationship rather than it being utterly equal. So just watch out for those kind of disparities. If someone's tended to want to always control your moves, stand up to them. If there's someone that you need to interact with, make sure that your own attitude is as fair and just as possible. Uranus is, of course, the co-ruler, the modern ruler of Aquarius. But then with Uranus moving, Mars moves on the same day, on the 16th, into Aquarius. Now that's a very hot, quite passionate location for Mars, and over the next 6 weeks can see you feeling much more sensual, much more in the mood for intimacy, you would have thought, but it's actually clashing with Uranus. So when it comes to your future direction, don't take shortcuts when it comes to money, property, or close relationships. It's going to be important to try to be as calm and considered and collected for all of this. This aspect will be affecting every single person. But it's a revved up aspect that goes across 4 zodiac signs. And it starts off in a more obvious way because this influence has kept being repeated really for quite some years, ever since Uranus went into Aries in 2010. If you remember, we had the Arab Spring, and that was because Uranus was in a very tricky right angle with Jupiter. And then we've got this situation, then we had the situation where Uranus was squaring up with Pluto, and that has led into much more corrosive and difficult international affairs. Not good stuff at all, because Uranus in Aries is very free radical. It doesn't like being told what to do. It will do what it wants when it wants. But Uranus was last in Taurus in 1934 to 1942. So that was a time of big tectonic plate shifts in the world, and not in a very nice way. So we have to understand the fixed nature of Taurus against the more restless energy of Uranus, and then Mars in the mix as well. Forcing the pace is not ideal, so try to keep things on as even keel as possible. However, then the Sun moves into the 12th solar house of your situation. Mercury is going to move on the 30th into this area too, but the key is the full moon which occurs is also going to link up with Saturn. And I just think it's important on this quincunx to be aware that some of your attitudes around relationships may not be entirely conscious, and that's what you may need to work at in the following 2 weeks. But this is definitely a time, especially once Venus moves into your sign on the 20th, when you can sparkle, when you can interact marvellously well with people, new people. You can draw on so much magic to you. There can be big changes in your relationship, but it's important not to push the pace too much, to be as considered as possible, because those big energies in Capricorn, your opposite sign, can seem what is earnestness on your part can almost seem like you're wanting it all on your own terms to other people. So slowing things down, be considered, and then you can avoid the dramas that cardinal signs can create, because there's a lot of leader power clashing against each other. And then we're moving more into a fixed time with Uranus moving into Taurus, but it's still going to be a time of change. But I think on the whole, it can be a wonderful time for your sign. It's been a real pleasure being with you. Thank you for joining me. If you've yet to subscribe to my channel, I'd love it if you would. Or please like or comment on this video. Thank you. Hello, thank you so much for watching my video. I'd love you to join me at my Horoscope Ace app. You can find this at www.horoscope-ace.com. You can use it through Android, iOS, Apple or Facebook. Check out your ascendant or your moon sign, or download your free birth chart. There's all your favourite videos, plus there are daily, weekly, monthly and yearly horoscopes for general, love, Chinese and Indian astrology. If your passion is tarot, there's my brilliant 3-card money or love tarot readings too. And it's all there at www.horoscope-ace.com. Thank you.